Hi, I'm Dr. Jeremy Neal and I'm a professor of philosophy at Houston Baptist University. Today I want to talk about an age-old topic in philosophy that has been debated for many centuries and that will be continued as a debate for many centuries after our own. This is the debate between dualists and monists. So, suppose you're answering the question, what is a person? Many philosophers over the centuries have answered this question by saying, well, a person is two things simultaneously. These philosophers are known as dualists. And they argue that a person is both a physical thing, a body, and also some sort of non-physical thing, a mind or a soul. And I'm going, for the purposes of this video, to be using soul and mind interchangeably. Many famous philosophers have been dualists. Plato was a dualist. Augustine was a dualist. Aquinas was a dualist. Today, Richard Swinburne is a dualist. I support a form of dualism. And dualists have as a strength of their view the fact that they seem to be capable of capturing some strong intuitive associations that we have with our experiences as lived persons. It surely feels as though I am something with a consciousness that is different than a mere physical object. So the table, for instance, or chair that my students are sitting at in the classroom, those things are not aware that they exist, and yet I am aware I exist. I feel as though I have consciousness, and my consciousness feels as though it is something else, something otherwise than mere physical existence. It feels as though it is more than the sum of its parts. It is more, it feels, than merely neural pathways firing in my brain, which can be described using scientific language that we commonly employ to describe brain functions. That's the dualist position. The dualist position, then, to sum up, is that we are two things, mind and body, or soul and body. And the difference between the dualist position and the monist alternative can be captured in the use of the words mind and brain. Think about what is different about the word mind than the word brain. Brain carries with it no connotation of consciousness, of self-awareness, whereas mind does. In that sense, mind is a word that is an attempt to capture some experience that is wholly otherwise than the merely physical. By contrast, there is also the monist position, and monism can be divided into two camps. Some monists are idealists. They think that we are just minds. Other monists are physicalists. They think that we are just bodies. An example of an idealist is George Berkeley in the 18th century. Berkeley thinks that the human experience is just a mental experience. He thinks that there is no such thing as an experience that is non-mental, no such thing as an encounter with the world that is non-mental. For Berkeley, the answer to the question, when a tree falls in the forest and no one is around, does it make a sound, is that no, it does not make a sound, because it requires some sort of mental encounter, conscious experience, in order for the tree to be something that is making a sound. So, in other words, then, for an idealist, we are just one thing, but we are just mind. By contrast, most monists are not idealists. The great majority of modern monists, such as the Churchlands, or such as many other garden variety humanist philosophers, are going to argue that we are just one thing, bodies. These are physicalist monists. There are also, I should add, important religious philosophers who are also monists and physicalists, who believe that, for instance, in my tradition, the Christian tradition, the resurrection of the dead is going to be a distinctively embodied event and not necessarily an event that involves our minds. At any rate, For physicalists, we do not have a soul that is otherwise than our body. It's not as though we have some other component of our personhood that is different fundamentally than our bodies. Rather, what we are is our bodies, and what we think is our conscious experience is reducible to physical experience and physical descriptive words. So the views that I have laid out, the dualist position and the monist position, each have strengths and weaknesses. Let me briefly mention them here at the end. One strength of the dualist position is that it seems to capture our felt experience as persons. One weakness of the dualist position, though, is it struggles sometimes to describe how it is possible for mind and body to connect and to interact. How can something like mind, which is wholly otherwise than the physical, impact that which is physical? It would seem as though it is like a ghost trying to go through a door. Trying to open a door. Ghosts cannot open door handles because they are non-physical things. So dualists have to come up with a story of how the mind can interact with the body. Similarly, physicalism has strengths and weaknesses. One strength of physicalism is that it is entirely reducible to empirically observable kinds of phenomena and categories. One weakness of physicalism is that it seems not to do a very good job of capturing our felt experience. It sure feels as though I am something that is otherwise than just a body. It sure feels as though I have experience, conscious experience that is otherwise than just a body.